The UK has been called an illegal colonial occupier by Mauritius after it ignored a deadline to return control of an overseas territory to the island nation.
Here's a summary of the article.
The UK has been called an illegal colonial occupier by Mauritius after it ignored a deadline to return control of an overseas territory to the island nation. The UN had given the UK 6 months to give up control of the Chagos Islands, but that period has now passed. The UK says it does not recognise Mauritius' claim to sovereignty. Mauritius has never held sovereignty over the BIOT and the UK does not recognise its claim. The Chagos archipelago was separated from Mauritius in 1965, when Mauritius was still a British colony. Britain no longer has a judge on 14-seat International Court of Justice in The Hague, and it's going to start to see UN maps reflecting the legal fact that the UN sees this islands as belonging to Mauritius. At the time of the UN resolution, the FCO said the UK did not recognise Mauritius' claim to sovereignty, but would stand by an earlier commitment to hand over control of the islands to Mauritius when they were no longer needed for defence purposes.
This post received a score of 5,751, with an upvote ratio of 94%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Greater than when they were no longer needed for defense purposes. So never.
If I'm not mistaken, Diego Garcia is included in this archipelago, and if so, you can try to pry those islands from the UK's US after the UK traded rights away, cold dead hands. Those islands have a huge strategic importance, but I think fishing rights should at least be given back.
They give the fishing rights back and each fishing boat will be a dark comedy show where the CIA, KGB, Mossad, Chinese, and an agent of the week are all spying on each other and the base. They aren't going to allow fishing boats there.
You can charter a boat from the DG Yacht Club and go fishing. Good times.
Greater than would stand by an earlier commitment to hand over control of the islands to Mauritius when they were no longer needed for defense purposes. What a polite way of saying it's never going to happen.
They won't be needed once Britain recolonizes all of Africa again in 2072.
Do you have a flag?
No flag, no country.
Isn't illegal colonial occupier the UK's other name?
They really ain't good with deadlines, huh? Cue the Czechs referendum.
Q is a line.
But we do like queues.
Mauritius only wants them so they can be paid by the US, instead of the UK getting paid by the US. Mauritius does not give a fuck about the people. The islands are 1,000 miles apart. There is literally no cultural connection between them. The only connection is that historically the UK governed them together for easier bureaucracy.
Story of every British colony.
If we could just govern the world, it would make it a lot easier for us.
Hey, if the whole world had one government, then it would significantly reduce admin costs.
The administratum is so large no one knows exactly how many people actually work in it.
To be human in these times is to be one among untold billions.
The current state of Mauritius has never held sovereignty over the islands. The previous inhabitants mostly fled to the UK due to how badly they were treated in Mauritius. The legal claim by Mauritius is weak by any standard.
Basically, this island is a huge distance away from Mauritius, which has a very loose tie to it based on how Britain administered its colonies. Simple cash grab attempt by Mauritius so they can fish out a wildlife refuge.
Spain and Argentinian, back of the queue wee man.
Nah, the British respect queues too much, implying it's ever going to happen.
Pretty much everyone who lives on Chagos is British or American. Mauritius have literally no claim to them outside of Britain owning both at the same time in the past. The UK can't return Chagos to Mauritius any more than they can return it to the Maldives, because neither had any interest in owning the archipelago until long after Europeans took it. Don't like Chagos being part of Britain? Go complain to France, they are the ones who gave Chagos to Britain 200 years ago. Practically everyone in Chagos is British or American, with a 1,600 kilometers distance between the closest point in Mauritius to Chagos.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.